Good morning. Time to rise and be blessed with the gift of another wonderful day that the Lord has given us. So glad you could join us here on our podcast and our morning moments with Jesus. This morning we're talking about a life that matters. And in 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, Paul has a little bit to say about that, particularly in verses 11 and verse 12. He says, "And that ye study to be quiet, and to do your own business, and to work with your own hands, as we commanded you, that ye may walk honestly toward them that are without, and that ye may have lack of nothing." As we come together today and talk a little bit about this, we realize that in the world in which we live in right now, that there's constantly this measuring of success, and most of the time it's by comparison. One person will gauge their success by what they see someone else doing. That constant comparison. It can be easy sometimes when you do that to feel like you're failing to meet the expectations of other people, or even the expectations you have of yourself, not because you're not doing it right or doing it well, but because you're comparing it with the way other people are doing it or how successful they seem to be at it. God says there's a flaw in that type of thinking. But the Bible reminds us here that a life that really truly matters is not built on comparison. It's a life built on contentment and faithfulness. Now let me explain contentment. The Lord, in our spiritual life, challenges us to never grow content, but to always be abounding and moving. But when it comes to the things we are blessed with and the things that we have, there should be a certain measure of contentment, of saying, I lack nothing as long as I have the knowledge that my God supplies all that I'll ever need, all that I'll ever need to be equipped with to do whatever He has for me to do. There's this certain amount of contentment in knowing that you have that peace. The Apostle Paul encourages believers here to study to be quiet. In other words, learn the beauty of a simple, settled, and content life, knowing that God is able. God never intended for our peace to be tied to keeping up with other people. When you begin comparing your life's journey with someone else's, let me tell you the problem with that. You will often lose sight of the uniqueness and the unique purpose God designed just for you. A life that matters is not a life of constant striving for other people's approval. What it is, it's a life that rests on the approval of God. And when you understand how God sees you, which is redeemed, loved, and chosen through Christ Jesus, then you no longer have to measure your value by the world's standards. Your worth is already settled. It was settled on the cross of Calvary. It was settled when Jesus Christ rose from the dead. It was settled in heaven when you gave your life to Jesus. There's also freedom in living without comparison. Contentment is one thing, but living without comparison is huge as well. Because when your heart is settled on pleasing the Lord, then you no longer feel pressured to abandon your convictions just to fit in. Integrity, we've talked about that before, and I've even preached on it a few weeks ago. Integrity becomes your quiet strength. Because what it is, we learn that faithfulness in the small things, such as a kind word, honest work, a humble spirit, that carries real value with God. And often the most beautiful, meaningful life is found in the simplest moments. You know, we do talk a lot about that here on Morning Moments, the simple things in life. Maybe it's a quiet morning with the Lord like we're spending right now. Maybe it's a conversation that encourages someone's heart. Even the laughter of family on an old front porch swing. These are the things that truly shape a life that matters. See, God never asked us to live someone else's life. I often tell people, particularly young people, I tell them, if God would have wanted you to be like somebody else, He would have made you somebody else. But He made you just the way you are. And the uniqueness you have shouldn't be ever be compared to other people. Because you're unique and your purpose means something to God. Never ask anybody to be compared to you, and don't compare your life to anybody else. He simply calls us to live the life He gave us faithfully, gratefully, and without compromise. And when you stop comparing yourself and start trusting God, here's what's going to happen. You're going to discover something beautiful. And that's the life God designed for you. And that's all you're ever going to need. That's the life that truly matters. To today, you be safe, you be strong, and you be blessed. And you be that type of person today that goes out and say, you know, my life matters. Not because I'm comparing it to anybody else, because I'm content with the way God chose to design my unique purpose and place it inside of me. Lord's will, we'll see you back here again tomorrow. And until then, I hope you have a great day.